Inside Marie Wendorff's Connecticut boutique, Witchy Poo, you'll find the most beautiful and affordable finds, including brightly colored enamel jewelry, knitted scarves, handbags, and unique accessories for a day at the beach or a night on the town. Marie personally finds and collects the items and then sells them in her store.
These are the greatest little chandelier earrings.
The bright and cheery, and yes, very pink decor is reminiscent of a child's bedroom and evokes the sweetness and innocence of youth. A far cry from where Marie was at in her life just a few years ago, when she says her husband's drug and alcohol-fueled lifestyle spun out of control.
All I wanted, like any other girl out there, was to live happily ever after. So anything he told me of how much better he was going to make it, I hung on to, and hook, line, and sinker. And eventually I just, really just realized that it was all lies, and it was never going to get better, and he was just constantly going to disappoint me and disappoint the children.
Sometimes her husband would go missing for a night, sometimes days, but it was always the same. He was out using and didn't show up.
It's almost like being possessed by the devil. There's no other way to describe it. It took a hold of his life, and it became the most important thing to him. And the most important thing to me was obviously my husband and my children. And when I realized he was really never, ever, ever going to get better, I did not want my children to grow up in the heartache and disappointment that he was giving to me.
It was after a trip to the emergency room she decided she had had enough.
It was a terrible night. It was like cold and raining. It was the summer, but it was one of these crazy nights where the rain was, you couldn't even drive. And I came back to my in-laws' house where I was staying because it was such a crazy night. We didn't know what was happening with him. And I saw my 4-month-old baby in a bassinet, and my 22 or 24-month-old son in a crib, and my 6-year-old son in a bed. And I thought, oh, good God, I have to do this all by myself, And how on earth am I going to do it? And at the same time, as my world was crushing down, thinking, how am I going to do it? I thought, how can I not do it? And that was it. I had to fix everything that he destroyed.
Fixing that life did not come overnight. After divorcing her husband, who by this point had lost his seat on the stock exchange and no real financial support, her picture-perfect house was foreclosed upon. She moved into this one-bedroom apartment above a store in Wilton and began selling her jewelry finds at trunk shows and craft fairs. When the tenant downstairs moved out, Witchy Poo moved in and was officially born. And Marie was reborn.
The sickest part about it is that I didn't even know I was in an abusive relationship until I went to therapy. And I just kept telling the girl what a great guy my ex-husband was. He was just in a bad situation. And she gave me a questionnaire that just asked me, like, I don't know, 100 questions about my relationship with him. And she just said, just go home and do it. She sort of was cute and nice and just listened to me. And I went home one night when it was quiet, and I did it. And I scored a 97 on it, which was the highest score I ever got on any test I ever took in my life, which is sad. And it told me that I was in a dangerously abusive relationship.
Today, besides running the shop, she's an advocate for women in abusive relationships. She has spoken on the Oprah Winfrey Show, at the State of Connecticut General Assembly, and was even named one of the top 5 most influential women in Westchester and Fairfield County. She finds strength in sharing her experiences and lending advice to women who might be in a similar situation.
Get out. It's never, ever, 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 ever going to get better. It's never, ever, ever, ever going to change. The only thing that can change is you, the person that's in that abusive relationship. And the only way you can change is if you leave that person, and you can change your life, and you can change your kid's life, and your life will be so much better. It's way better than that White House with the picket fence. That's just a fantasy. I'm in the 1-bedroom apartment on a pull-out a futon. It's way better than the country club and the Land Rovers and all that. It's just nonsense. I have my freedom. I have my children, and we're safe. And that is the most important thing.